Joe and John from Wrigley are in what some would call a long-term relationship. They represent a client-agency partnership that has been decades in the making, over 80 years. They're not 80 years old, but their business relationship has expanded that long. So how have they done this in spite of the rapid evolution in the industry, the changing trends of creative sourcing, and what I imagine are countless shifts in leadership and philosophy? This has been no small feat. Like any true partnership, they've overcome obstacles and have celebrated successes. So let's dig in and talk about how they have built their strong partnership and what they see as broad changes happening between the client-agency relationship now and how it will evolve in the future. So John, why don't you kick us off?
Okay.
In your experience, how has the agency relationship changed over the last 5 to 10 years?
You know, I think a few years ago when I was a more junior marketer, an ABM manager, the whole creative process really focused on getting good film in the can, right? It was about project to project. It was about that individual execution versus the creation of that enduring big idea. And like I said, it was really short-term focus, project to project. At Mars and at Wrigley, our big focus has been to create a great advertising culture. What I've really tried to push is to take it even beyond that, to not only create just a great advertising culture, an advertising culture that's focused on creating great work, but a really great business of advertising culture. And I really think that's been a big game changer for us overall in our relationship, because you really start with the central business challenge that you're trying to overcome. You really focus on a mutual understanding of all of the kind of objectives across both the agency and the client relationship. For me, I have constant pressure to reduce my non-working costs and to continue to try to not only deliver great work, but to find efficiency year over year. And as we think about our overall business challenge, those factors actually come into the process up front and into the discussions that we have about what it is that we're trying to do, as well as the day-to-day operation of how we actually get to that end product and get to the end deliverable that we're intent upon putting out there, which is great work. So the really holistic look at not only great advertising, obviously we all want great work. We want work that makes our brands famous, but that mutual understanding of how we get there and some of the business of it is equally important.
So what challenges and opportunities have these changes presented?
Well, beyond John winning my role, it's pretty easy. But actually, it's really good. I think that what we've done on our relationship, honey, it's great because it's not anymore about what's in for me and what's in for him, or doing the 30-second TV spot or the 15-second TV spot. It's what is that we're doing to make this brand famous. So we're both on the same boat, and having access to, before we didn't have that access. Before, Liam will be in the middle of us.
Right.
And just for today, she'll be in the middle of us. But in general, we're always in contact. We're always sharing ideas. We write together. We brainstorm together. We look at the business together. I think there's these in the past we used to be, you guys deliver on the spot while we take care of the business. Now we all take care of the business, and understanding that great work takes care of the business as well. But to get to great work, we need to be together.
Yes. I think you hit on something, which is there used to be, at least for us, there used to be this account services buffer between our client and our creative. We no longer operate that way anymore. I think as evidence of even having you here on stage with us, I mean, we are truly one team, and we collaborate that way. I think also, Aaron, our clients want to be a part of the process. Yes, that can be challenging, but for us, we feel like it's been a huge opportunity. It allows us to have deepened relationships across multiple disciplines. Our clients have an increased knowledge base of how we make the work. And I think cross-pollinating that thinking is really making us stronger decision makers. We're making stronger decisions. And then conversely, you and your team, as well as just a broader team beyond just account service, know the Wrigley business in a way that they've never known the Wrigley business before. So it doesn't stop at our client team. It's who's behind our client team, what are their business challenges and their issues. And it's opened up a whole new level of trust in the type of work we're developing, and everybody at Wrigley understands that fundamentally we are developing work that's truly meant to drive the business. So I would say, I think this is what we're all really trying to say, is that we're no longer just delivering work for our clients, we're really building these ideas together and these brands together.
Yeah, you talk about the fact that we see each other a lot, and we're in a variety of discussions that aren't just about the creative work. It used to be that you only saw the creative team during the tissue session, during the creative briefing session, and at any sort of session where they were sharing the work. I see these folks as much as I see my own team. They're in the building all the time. They're in meetings with various brand teams. They come to our monthly team status meetings as an equal member of our team. So there's a deeply embedded relationship that, like you said, this has been a relationship between BBDO and Wrigley for over 80 years. So it's ebbed and flowed over time, but really this team is an extension of my team that are full-time Wrigley associates as well.
80 years, isn't that amazing? So you mentioned earlier about the advertising, but we know that as brands are evolving, that it now goes beyond the advertising.
Absolutely.
And what a brand needs to do is really expand to a range of marketing avenues. So how have you you touched on the integration and the extension of the team as being one way that maybe you solve that. How are you really ensuring that the teams that you're putting together can best meet those business needs as they continue to evolve?
It's a great question. A few years ago at Mars, we really made a strong emphasis on identifying key advertising leaders within our organization. Those folks who have demonstrated a proven track record of cultivating a culture that really delivers great work, high-performing work in the marketplace, and the establishment of creative excellence teams. So it was a big departure from the way I'd operated in the past, because you would literally, on most of the work, as a project or a piece of work came up, whoever the ABMs or the brand managers were on that business, they would come into that project, pick that project up, work with an agency team, and in many instances they had very little experience in the creative process, leading a creative process in a team. So every single time that you started a new project, you had to work to create that highly collaborative team environment. So what we shifted to was identifying key advertising leaders, having folks like myself as an advertising leader, much more senior, be a key leader in that process, and really be accountable for managing that process and driving that culture over consecutive campaigns and consecutive campaign ideas. Now, as you go from brand idea to brand idea, you're also still bringing in, you have a key brand manager and the brand manager on that business, and the ABMs play a critical role, but you get the mutual benefit of having continuity of the high-performing team environment between the agency and within that creative excellence team, while at the same time allowing and giving the opportunity for your more junior brand leaders to learn and grow and develop through that process.
Yeah, I mean, it's been especially successful for us because you see immediately that Wrigley Mars is placing emphasis on the creative, right? So you're no longer just working with your traditional marketing department. You guys are tapping individuals who you know are about generating best-in-class, industry-leading kind of work. And so from the get-go, we're like-minded individuals. We're speaking the same language. And it's been a huge success for us, and I would say highly motivating for our creative teams. I think our morale has never been higher, and we're so much more efficient. So we're not just driving our costs down because we're no longer doing rounds and rounds of reviews, but everybody wants to work on this business, so that's exciting. And the work is proving out to be just as successful.
I think also that we build trust, we build honesty, which I think are two key things to not do rounds and rounds and rounds. John can be very honest, so that's good. No, but I think we have that relationship between us, and there's nothing better for my side where I have teams and teams and teams over the agency kind of like, when am I going to work in Rudy? When am I going to work in Rudy? Like, people are dying to work on the brand because they're seeing that great work is being produced, but there's a reason behind all this, how to get there, and the results are tied to the great work. So it's great to see it from both sides, that how the teams are reacting to it, and they just want to be part of this.
So we know that you guys have this long-standing great partnership, but we also know the realities of the branding world and business is that you have this partner, but you also have other partners. Mm-hmm. And some are internal and some are external, and others, for different touch points. How, if we talk about tension points and things that we sometimes, need to address, how do you manage those? How do you manage multiple agency partners to create those strong, transparent, honest relationships and get the best out of your partners?
Yeah, and we work with a model called the IAT model, or Integrated Agency Team model, and BBDO plays a lead integrator role with that IAT model overall, and to be honest, this is something and a process where we're continuing to figure it out. We're continuing to figure out how, as we within that integrated model, have our media agencies, our media buying agencies, some of our social agencies, our retail shopper marketing agencies involved, how we actually build the highest functioning relationships overall. To be quite candid and honest, we don't have it right all across all of our businesses and across all of our roles, but we've continued to get better and better year over year. And then one of the benefits of kind of the relationship and the process is we sit down pretty regularly and we evaluate, what's working and what's not working, and can continually have a process where we just try to continue to make that relationship better and make it work. And it's imperative because it's not just about the TV, right? The big idea that we create really is going to go across a number of different channels. And building not only the trust with our lead agency, but having that mutual trust across all of the agencies where we can trust the expertise of a social agency and their vision on how to bring that big idea to life across various social channels and platforms is critical. And trusting that their voice will be magnified when appropriate and when it's important for them to take the lead on a project.
Yeah, I think it's always important to know that you can't do it all, right? We are better together, and having respect for other areas of expertise has proved to be important to us as we develop ideas for these brands. But John, one of the things you were saying, which we haven't touched on enough quite yet, but I know you will, is it is about being crystal clear about what the brand stands for. So when we can find ourselves all rallied around the same idea, it becomes our North Star. So it becomes much easier to work with a multitude of agencies to execute because we're all very clear on what that North Star is. So we found that the more we can bring these areas of expertise that may not be ours to the table upstream, once we know what that brand defining idea is, it's finding ourselves, much better place downstream as the executions really come together and are all saying the same thing, even though that work might be quite different.
Okay, right. So as you've seen your, Leanne, building from that, as you've seen your clients' needs change, how has Energy BBDO shifted their resources? Have you upped digital? Have you upped social? What kind of shifts have you made in your resources?
Yeah, we're always reshaping and shaping and reshaping teams to meet, not only our client needs, but also market needs. I would say that it's always about having the capability to execute. So we have absolutely significantly changed in the last couple of years across a few areas to ensure that we can truly execute against the kind of work that we're doing. One area, as you mentioned, Erin, is definitely in the digital and social space. So we put a ton of energy around digital and social, and specifically we've embedded experts into the Wrigley team at BBDO. So it is seamless as we are executing ideas. The digital and social is at the core of those ideas. We have also done the same with multicultural. So we have embedded multicultural experts. I would argue that half of our team, English is their second language. Being number one. But it's been phenomenal to watch because at the insight stage and at the creative idea stage, we know immediately whether that work can travel, right? It's immediate and it's seamless. So we've got, again, these experts that can tell us that on the spot. So that's been incredibly rewarding. And production has been of huge importance to us as the market's really shifted into wanting more and more content across multiple channels. And so we are now focused on doing a lot of in-house production. So our ability to shoot, edit, sound design, et cetera, is now in-house, and that helps us achieve good, fast, and cheap, which I know is important in building your business. So that, and then lastly, data and analytics. So, we believe strongly in how good is content if you don't, how good is your content if you don't know how well it's performing. And so what we're trying to do more of now is really watch the content we're putting out in the world and make sure that we're optimizing accordingly.
Yeah, when you talk about that good, fast, and cheap, there was one point that you made there that, going back to your question around what has changed, you used to have a multicultural agency. You used to have a separate digital agency. You used to have to really have multiple people at the table, and that creates a little bit of cumbersomeness. It creates extra cost. But what I'll commend, BBDO on is, they really have continued to evolve to be able to move and help us move at the pace that we need to. We all know, we all have ADD. I think probably everybody in the room has at least 2 or 3 devices on them right now and is probably either texting while I'm talking now or taking notes on a device. And to be able to have work that breaks through that, you have to have a culture that allows you to move with speed and with pace.
What does true breakthrough creative mean now?
Well, I think that, and John started by saying that we're not here to do just a request. I think you don't go to a project to do the project. They say you go to things to create the wave, and I think that's what we're doing here. We're not here to create a 30-second spot. We're here to do brand building. And to do brand building, you need to be very clear about your, what we call BDI, which is your brand defining idea, and then how you create. So the work that we create in our agency, it's about building the brand from platforms. We don't just go into it to just create that little spot. We have some work to share today. Yesterday I was here and I'm known for talking a lot. I'm trying not to talk a lot today, but also because for the last 6 months I make people cry. So let's see if I can make that happen today. So here's the next video. It's one of the latest works, the work that we did. To give you an idea, the ask was to, what's our next 15-second TV spot for this brand? And here's where we landed.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, shall I stay? Would it be a sin? Oh, if I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Won't take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Oh, for I can't help falling in love.
Give extra, get extra.
With you.
But if you think about it, we believe on the power of storytelling. Our agency has a strong belief about creating evocative storytelling and experiences. So when we create work, we don't go into it just to create a spot. We go ahead to create experience to make you as a consumer feel something, to make sure that the brand connects with you on an emotional standpoint. It's not just brought to you by Extra. So when we mean give extra, get extra, we really mean all the way through. Here's talking a little bit of what John said about IAT. We had our story, we had our whole energy around give extra, get extra. We sat together for a couple of weeks and we said, how do we amplify this? How do we bring it to life? The story of Sarah and Juan, to give you an idea, obviously it was put onto online, and in the first 48 hours we had 80 million views. We became the #1 spot on YouTube on 2015 for that gives you feels, just a little bit. But then also we created a music video with Hailey. We went ahead and we ended up with the pack. The pack is the center, it's the connector of everything. You never felt like it's, oh, and here's the brand, and here's the brand. It was the connector through the whole relationship. And the rapper, it was the one. So we said, how can we bring all this art into the world? So from creating a film all the way to the pack, to into retail, making sure that illustrations go there. So people will go to the store, or you should go to the store after this. Get your pack, open it, and you see all the different drawings that Juan did to Sarah. But obviously, again, here's where IAT comes like, why are we gonna stop here? What can we do next? So let's bring an experience, right? So now when you go to your Twitter or your Instagram, right now, you pick one of your pictures where you had a great moment, hashtag it, give extra, get extra, and now you get your drawing on a wrapper. And the next round, I can't tell you what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be amazing. You get more and more of the experience, and you just get closer and closer to the brand. And I think that's what we're here for, to build the brand. If you think about it, the whole time, we've been putting the brand at the center and it's been the connector first for 2 people, and now with the brand and the rest of the world.